in person tonight, but it's good to come and talk to you. I have actually done a presentation, but that's more just because I've got some nice pictures of Wasdale that I rarely get to use, so I'm just going to stick them up there as an excuse. It's always good to have an excuse to use some good pickies. So I've been asked to answer the question of how Cumbria Tourism promote Wasdale. So Cumbria Tourism, just a little bit of background, we are officially the local visitor enterprise partnership for Cumbria. Now that is a bit of a mouthful. What it essentially means is that we were the tourist board for Cumbria and we are now the partnership organisation that's recognised as being kind of the voice for tourism in the area by the government. And that we are a membership organisation. So we have funding that comes in from a little bit of funding from projects and things like that and other sources, but actually the bulk of our funding as a tourist board or as an LVEP comes from our membership. So our membership is made up mainly of tourism related businesses, but also quite a lot of other businesses that are interested in the area and tourism in the area as well. So how does Cumbria Tourism talk to visitors? We have quite a lot of different ways of talking to our visitors. So we have our own website called visitlakedistrict.com. We have e-newsletter databases and we send out e-newsletters to people. We have social media, so we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all those different platforms. We have print, so we put out brochures and leaflets promoting the area. And we also have PR. So PR means we have a press team in-house who send out press releases and information to journalists, media, so filmmakers, TV show makers, and we put out information about interesting things in Cumbria to try and get them to write about us and feature us. But we then also work with media inquiries. So we have people, journalists and TV shows and all sorts coming to us and asking for recommendations on what to do in the area. So we operate on what we call an attract and disperse policy, which again is another one that's a bit of a mouthful. So we recognise that most people you recognise what we call an attack brand of the Lake District. So most people, if you ask them, will have heard of the Lake District, but for some reason, most people, if you ask them, or a lot of people, haven't heard of Cumbria. They don't really recognise the difference between Cumbria and the Lake District. So what we do is we market ourselves as Cumbria and as the Lake District Cumbria, sorry, other way around. And we use that kind of tag and catch people's interest with the Lake District, so they have a vague idea about what we're talking about. But then we use that opportunity in those conversations to basically try and educate people about the wider area and to try and push visitors to those lesser known areas as well and the quieter areas. So how do we market Wasdale? So Wasdale is classed as a honeypot area. So as a general rule, we don't really market it. We tend to spend a lot more of our time and effort and energy marketing the outlying areas of Cumbria and the quieter areas. We work very closely with the Strategic Visitor Management Group, which I think you probably have come across already, which is a group of organisations across the county who look at visitor impacts and how to manage them. So the National Trust is on that group, the National Park is on that group, the local authorities are on that group. It has police representation and quite a lot of other partners. So we work with them. And we get quite a lot of information feedback from them. And if we're told that an area is busy, then at certain times of year, what we actively try not to promote certain areas to the extent where we'll make sure there's no images used in any of our social media or anything that we're using that actually even features those locations. So one of the things that's worth noting is how people are influenced over the last few years has changed quite significantly. So from Cumbria Tourism's point of view, just to give you an idea of some of the sort of stats and the number of visitors that we talk to on our own platforms and in our own marketing. So our social media reach, so across TikTok, Facebook and all of those social media platforms, we have 326,000 people who follow us, who we talk to. We have 7 million page views on our website annually, so 7 million pages of the website get looked at. We send out 4 million e-newsletters a year, and we send out 380,000 brochures, leaflets, print things a year as well. And in terms of our press, it's estimated that the stuff that we send out that gets picked up by journalists and gets put in newspapers and print publications and online as well is about 275 million. So we do have quite a big reach and we do talk to quite a lot of people. But actually, if you look at the stats, that's still quite a small proportion of the visitors who come to the area. So we have found in our most recent visitor survey, which was in 2022, that many people don't actually look for information on what they're going to do and where they're going to ahead of visiting. A lot of the time, it's becoming more and more last minute as well in terms of planning. And people are tending to get a cheap deal online and then plan what they do very short notice. So 32%.
Minute left.
Okay, so 32% of people rely on recommendations. I think the key things to sort of mention here really is the rise massively in the number of people who are using Google and searching on Google, because in 2018 that wasn't really a factor, but now 28% of people search on Google for information, and on social media as well. So in 2018, just 3% used social media as a way of researching a trip, but now it's 28% of people. So one of the things we have found is that actually, in terms of where people are getting their information from, we don't have as much control in terms of the information that's going out there. People are more and more getting information from online content that other people are producing, which we can't fact check. We can't, make sure that they're recommending things to do or parking in the right place or accessing things in a sensible way. So what we do, we try and influence those influencers and those other platforms as much as possible. So our PR team, when they do get media inquiries in or inquiries from influencers and other people, we try and recommend. So for instance, if they were coming to Wasdale and well, first of all, if it was a busy time of year, we'd probably recommend that they didn't and they went somewhere else and featured somewhere else. But then if they do want to come, we recommend that they use the shuttle service and they feature other things that we'd recommend for visitors to do anyway, so that information gets out. We also host our own influencer trips. And so sometimes for different projects, if we do have funding, we do pay for social media influencers and content creators to come up. And we will actually give them a set itinerary and recommendations and things to cover whilst they're up here. And we're also currently looking at advertising options. So we're looking at where there's opportunities or possibilities to be able to advertise on YouTube and other places like that, where we know a lot of social media content creators host a lot of their content. So to be able to kind of put official messages into those videos potentially as well. So that is all from me, and hopefully I haven't gone over.